Hi, this is Kraken again. In today's video, I'll be attempting to build a house of cards. The deck we're using today include the Light Realm and what that vacation destination has to offer. Also, I want to take a stab at explaining Rhinedottir shenanigans. This is a theory, and I'm here to boldly say the things that have never been said before. Is that true? I don't know. I'm not omnipotent, now am I? Spoiler warnings will be in the description. So let's get down to it. The big question on my mind today is, what became of the Light Realm? This usurper seems to have taken all the power from there and reshaped Teyvat with it. A few likely options exist. The Light Realm was destroyed completely and no longer exists. The literal place was fused to the human realm. Or the energy was extracted, leaving the area an empty husk. Now, option 1 is possible, but doesn't give me anything to discuss. So let's not. Also, in another video, I touched on the possibility of option 2, but in a different context than what I'm presenting here. Essentially, I claimed that dream spaces equal the Light Realm, and this realm, through fusion, became a mirror of Teyvat. However, I want to focus on the third possibility, that the realm became a husk. I had one simple question about light come up that gave me an explanation for, well, things. But to avoid pursuit from an angry mob, I will first build my case through game context. To speculate what's currently happening in the Light Realm, let's first examine the human realm. Well, Kraken, why would we do that? Because Teyvat was remade to incorporate this semi-foreign elemental energy. Now, I say semi-foreign because elemental energy naturally exists in the human realm. But the raw, powerful form is actually very harmful to ordinary humans. But don't worry, I'm only going to cover 2 examples here, Tsurumi Island and Dragonspine. Tsurumi Island and Dragonspine are 2 places where the ley lines, aka the energy container, was damaged. We'll be heavily focusing on ley lines because, according to the parametric transformer item description, ley lines hold the elemental energy of the world, amongst other components. Now, without a container for this energy, it goes a little buck wild. Tsurumi Island is an example of what could happen to an area exposed to uncontained elemental energy. When the ley lines were damaged, the energy sprung a leak, causing a spatial disorder of perpetual fog. But at this point, the environment was not toxic to humans. But that's not all. Kapachir put their own spin on things, making a true chaotic space. This chaotic space includes, but is not limited to, time loops, navigational issues, energy discharges, and more. In a fit of rage, Kapachir aggravated unbalanced ley lines on Tsurumi Island, causing region-wide catastrophe. The never-ending lightning storms spelt the end for the inhabitants left on the island. So, elemental storms made fragile ley lines much, much worse. After all is said and done, Tsurumi even becomes a den for rift wolves. Now let's talk about Dragonspine, because this area underwent both a sudden loss of its ley lines, then a regrowth of them. In the time of Sol Vindagnir, the Sky Nail killed the ley line tree, and all ley lines on the mountain died. With this great disaster, the area turned into a frozen wasteland. There's no written record to indicate that Dragonspine was abyss toxic before 500 years ago. Whether it was or wasn't, we just don't know. However, the arrival of Durin changed the land. His blood literally revives the ley line tree. It also ran all over the mountain, evident by the agate stones we can find peppered around the landscape. The reintroduction of the blood of an elemental creature allowed the land to heal, at least somewhat. As a side note, it's strange we don't find much presence of the abyss here, cause they're kind of obsessed with dragons. Relatable, honestly. Even with game updates, we don't see consecrated beasts or abyss heralds here. Maybe in the future when we get a Mondstadt update, this might change. So let's consider an example that's a bit more organic, I guess. When Nahida speaks about the potential of Apep's death, we get a clear picture of what uncontrolled elemental energy does.
If the Dendro Dragon fails to hang on, the elemental power inside it will no longer be able to maintain its form and will all be dispersed. Dendro elemental power of that concentration will cause the rainforest to overgrow. Giant trees will completely block out the sun. Plants and humans will fight over oxygen. Sumeru will no longer be suitable for sustaining life.
Where once the ley lines used to be smooth and orderly, they are now bursting at the seams. The ley lines are a human realm thing, however, I don't think they were ever meant to hold as much elemental energy as they do now. 'Cause more is better. Thanks a lot, Mr. Usurper. I currently have no idea why a campaign on the Dragon's Realm would be desirable or even necessary. Maybe the dragons gave a stink eye or something. Celestial lore when? Please and thank you. So again, the human realm can't handle too much elemental power. So with that said, let me then ask you, what is the absence of light? If you said darkness, well, you'd be correct. According to Sumi, there are 3 realms. For this theory, I'm saying that there are still 3. Now, Sumi notes that the Vishaps realm is named the Light Realm in most books. The books referred to here are likely ancient books in Byakuya Koku script. But this connection between elements and light isn't obscure or anything. Like, we've had this name card in-game since the very beginning. However, those elements are now powering the human realm. So, what happens to a light realm when all of its light gets stolen? This should mean that it becomes a place of darkness. Without the abundant elemental energy, the elemental creatures would likely suffer. Vishaps might then be forced to move to an area that has those elemental vitamins that any growing Vishap needs. And we do find these Vishaps all over the human realm. Easy, right? However, their home would likely become barren. Perhaps not unlike Dragonspine. Even if all the energy wasn't stolen, the Dragon Sovereigns went to war with the Usurper, some of which we met in the human realm, some of which we know have died. Having all of its sovereigns killed or relocated, perhaps anything left in the Light Realm became a disorderly mess. And having their home pillaged by the Usurper, any Vishap that remained would no doubt have a burning hatred. And as seen with Kapatia, resentment can aggravate an unstable space. So would this realm descend into chaos? And here's my point. The Abyss is described as a chaotic space. Abyssal energy can mutate creatures and straight up unalive things. Is the Light Realm then the Void Realm? Well, not quite, because remember, there are still 3 realms. Since I mentioned it, remember what Enjo was doing in the 3 Gateways offering event? He was bringing abyssal energy into Enkanomiya. Sumi called it an invasion. It stands to reason that the Abyss could take over the tattered Light Realm, kind of like a hermit crab finding a new home. But the Void Realm might just be home base, with everything else being conquered territory. We know that the Abyss has tried many times to gain a foothold in the human realm. However, Traveler has been the one on the front lines, stopping the Order, even purifying Teyvat. Will Traveler purify the Light Realm? I think it's possible, but whether this is reversible or not, I think Natlan will reveal that. Allow me to propose another idea. Where did Rhinedottir's creations come from? Elenus tells us that he was floating in an endless void before someone plucked out his consciousness and, stuffed it into a physical form. From the context we just covered, is it possible that some dragons didn't make it to the human realm? Well, yeah, it's possible. They would have then either perished or been twisted by abyssal energy. Rhinedottir seems to have found Elenus crying in a void. While this crying could have been a result of loneliness, suppose a Vishap was deformed down to a stewing heap of toxic waste. Consider what happened to Carter. He was still able to cry out after becoming whatever he became. And consider the Geoshroomkin that we found in the chasm. After steeping in sludge for 500 years, they also degraded into a goop. But their consciousness and growth, or rather their memories, was able to be salvaged. Here, I want to point out some behavioral attributes between elemental and abyssal creatures. When we confront Apep, some of her deformed children came after the fire seed. The Hydroshroomkin explains that their instinct to survive was the only thing left driving them. They are seeking out the nearest source of energy for survival. In this case, the fire seed, and later it was the heart of Oasis. Now, think of what Rift Wolves are known for. In A's second story quest, they're attacking leyline roots, which we know contain elemental energy, probably a lot of it. And in the ancient Colors World Quest in Fontaine, Jacob tells us that he didn't directly summon the Rift Wolves that appeared there. Rather, they were drawn by the corpse of Elenus, an elemental beast. Jacob merely provided a window for them to slip through. Even the Abyss Order is known to fidget with ley lines and turn dragons to the dark side. These are the only two hobbies of theirs we know anything substantial about. With that said, if the remaining creatures of the Light Realm were twisted into horrifying monsters, well, I think that explains what Rhinedottir is doing. The Rift Wolves were likely her first lab rat. Then we have Dern and Elenus. They may have even been all contained in the Light Realm at first. Then, when the Cataclysm connected the realms somehow, her creations made a beeline for elemental energy. It was purely instinctual. But this is interesting, because with Albedo, Rhinedottir succeeded, whereas with Carter, Renee did not. Rhinedottir is attempting to restore the original forms of primordial creatures. This includes primordial dragons in addition to her primordial human project. That's exactly what the Abyss Order was trying to do in the chasm. However, the Order doesn't feel the need for themselves to be restored to human. And I think this small point is where Rhinedottir and the Abyss Order differ. And before anyone dumps on this idea, let me remind you that Naba Malikata became the bridge for King Deshret to gain forbidden knowledge. It's not like she's from the Abyss or anything. But if she's related to dragons or the Light Realm in any way, maybe she just connected to the Light Realm that's now Void compatible. This brings me to my next point. Several factions have sent out expeditions into the Abyss. This includes the Fatui, the Knights of Favonius, the Adventurers Guild, Ningguang, Daneslip, and Rhinedottir. Possibly with Albedo? Are they exploring the Void Realm or the ruined Light Realm? And just what is everybody looking for anyways? Well, we can take a good guess that the Fatui found knowledge here. I would even pass off the Adventurer Guild as exploring for the sake of exploration. Ad astra abyssast. But why? Those trips are extremely dangerous with intelligent, terrifying monsters. It doesn't seem like a good investment. Are they all after forbidden knowledge? I doubt it. Perhaps things one can find in a ruined, abyss-infested Vishap realm would be like lost history, power, maybe the source of monsters, or to prepare for Cataclysm 2.0 where monsters spilled out from the void. That seems possible, as the Vishap realm is likely more connected to the human realm than the void realm. It would be a cozy little stepping stone for an invasion. But we don't have any instances of anything being brought back from these expeditions besides knowledge. If I'm right about any of this, the question then becomes, does learning about dragons mean learning world truth? Could learning dragon history help one discover a false sky? However, there's one itty-bitty brainworm I will share. If the Abyss Order is made of former Conrians, and Conrians want to reclaim their homeland, and the Light Realm is now being run by the Abyss, But the Abyss Order is stationed in the Abyss. Could that Abyss then be the ruined Vishap realm? And is Conria in the Vishaps realm, but is now fused to the human realm, and are Conrians humans made by dragons? I've wandered off topic, but this train of thought was inspired by a theory Roosevelt made about Conrians and dragons that I honestly love. It's very compelling. In Natlan, I want to know more about Vishap history and realm lore. I would take Traveler lore too, but I get this feeling that the Fatui are going to be the ones to give us that. This is Xehanort Kraken. I am so sorry for the loss in brain cells, but I can't give you a refund.